Hello everybody and welcome to Absolute Sim Racing for this, the 11th week of racing here in the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy at Road Atlanta. I'm Ed May and joining me in the commentary box as ever is the wonderful Dan Handover. And Dan, we've got a lot of action to look forward to as the season gets right up into the business end now.
Oh yes, we do indeed. Hello everyone, thank you again for tuning in to the latter stages of this race and of this championship. It's all coming down to the final. There's still points up for grabs. There's still positions to be gained for everyone. Road Atlanta's a great circuit, one of my all-time favourites. I absolutely adore Road Atlanta. And MX5s, I think they can produce some fantastic racing, as we have seen all the way throughout this season so far.
Yeah, they certainly will, and the drivers are making their way out onto the track in qualifying. So we'll be able to see the first times coming through. And a bit about this circuit is that it's one that's a bit similar to Imola in the fact that Slipstream will really dominate the racing, won't it? Obviously, that long back straight coming into the chicane towards the end of the lap. That's where you're likely to see many of the moves being made. And that also means that qualifying might not necessarily be everything. So while Jason Cooper is likely to be quickest of the bunch, as he has been for most of the season, he's going to have a bit of a trickier time of things, I think, in this first race.
Yeah, I mean, Road Atlantis, it's a very, very challenging circuit. You've got to be committed through the first sector. You've then got that very, very long stretch, you were saying, with draft and everything. So we were talking about this at pre-race as well. I don't know. I think Jason Cooper is still going to be very, very fast, make no mistake. But the gaps could be even closer. Bear in mind, the gaps have been close. I mean, that's something we can probably all agree on. The gaps have been very, very close. But I just think, yeah, it might just be that little bit closer. And realistically, being first in a way, especially coming on to the last lap or something, being first, it might not be the best place. Tactics are really going to play a factor into here as well, I think. And that's going to be a very, very key thing coming into the latter stages of one of these races.
Yeah, I think you're right there. So when we come into, obviously, the latter stages of the championship where we are now, we do, of course, have different championship permutations all going on in the background. I'll just try and find those for us. So now we don't have the graphics at the moment, but hopefully we will do coming the end of the season, so you know where all of the drivers stand into the final round of racing. Having a look here, and actually Jason Cooper, if results go his way and if he doesn't really, basically realistically, as long as Jason Cooper doesn't DNF, he could seal up the Pro Championship right here, as Andy McEwen is 562 points back, and you get a maximum out of the weekend of 400 points, 100 points each time you get a race victory. So Jason could theoretically seal the championship here as long as he basically finishes three of the four races here this evening, and Andy McEwen doesn't win every single one. Speaking of Andy McEwen, he is in second place, and in terms of the Pro-Am Championship, his lead is looking very healthy now as we come into the latter stages. The drop rounds have been accounted for, and he now has 200 points clear between himself and Sam Smith after all the racing action at Imola. So very good news, of course, if you are a fan of Andy McEwen, which I'm sure some of you might unfortunately be. And then into the AM category.
So it took a while to get that for a second.
We have a interesting little battle, I think, between Michael Linscombe-Hatfield and Fiona Siddons. Fiona, well, she hasn't been the quickest of drivers. She's been very, very consistent, banging a few good results here and there. And into the last stage of the season, she's been having very good turns of pace. Actually, I remember Sebring just 2 weeks ago, she put in her best performance of the season. So keep an eye out for her. She could close in and try and make things interesting. So Michael Linscombe-Hatfield, Fiona Siddons, the one to watch in the AM class. Andy McEwen and Sam Smith, the ones to watch in the Pro-Ams. Jason Cooper could wrap it all up here this evening.
He might very well be able to. Just notice there, you're sitting on board now with Andy McEwen as he goes for a first flying lap. I did notice he was a little bit wide going into the chicane, which would have cost him at least a tenth. I reckon it's surprising how much of a difference that makes. But there we go. Provisional pole. Does Andy McEwen go? James Neve just slots into P4. Nick Clibbin slots into P12. Sam Smith in the 227 MX5 is P2, a tenth and a half behind But all importantly, where is Jason Cooper? Purple sectors are being set as they come down. Here is Jason Cooper going into the last corner, the last complex, I should say. Just cuts the curb nicely. He's got his brother behind, I believe that is Luke Cooper. So what you've got to remember as well is Andy McEwen did have, I reckon, another half a tenth to a tenth in hand. But is it going to be enough to match what Jason Cooper is about to set? He is currently in P13, and there we go. Oh, it's close. 35.4. Here's makes a difference. 35.4. It's very, very close. 3.5 tenths on Andy McEwen. So the gaps predictably, well, actually, the gaps predictably, we have seen the sizable gap continue on that Jason Cooper's got, because it's actually one of the it's actually the closest gap, I think, in the top 10. Sorry, it's the biggest gap in the top 10, I believe. Apart from then you've got Douglas Stewart, who's half a second off. That is between himself and Ryan Main. So a big gap then from Jason Cooper, utilising, well, again, the skill that we know he does have.
Yeah, so very good turn of pace being displayed by this man, Jason Cooper. Last time out at this circuit, actually, he was putting in very, very strong performances, so don't be surprised if we don't find him at least taking, let's say, more than one trip to the top step of the podium. We're not going to count our chickens just yet. We're not going to say that he's going to take a grand slam, but if history is to be believed, he does go very strongly around this circuit. Sam Smith, though, good effort from himself to go second fastest, just marginally ahead of Andy McEwen. So Drama's racing action hotting up actually in the Pro-Am class as we come to Sam Smith off of the circuit. I think that was at the top of the crest of turn 3 before they come down through the S's. Ashley Stimpson as well, current fastest Am on the track, giving a nice little bit of tow to 13th, number 13 rather, not 13th place, Nick Clibbins. Getting a little bit wide on the exit though, and choosing to back out, allowing the likes of Ryan Main and who is that, the 61 through. That's Michael Seal able to go up there. And Michael's actually having a good time as well, highlighting him up in 4th overall, 3rd in the Pro-Ams. And oh, look who's back out on circuit. We've missed him. Good to have him back, Ben Sharp.
Indeed, Ben Sharp is back after his small tour of the world's racetracks. Again, I don't really think I would be complaining all that much if I was in a position. I've been lucky enough to travel to, for my job, to travel to several countries in the UK. But unfortunately, not the likes of, not to the extent of what Ben Sharp was doing. Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben was in the 24. He was doing Le Mans 24, I think, last weekend, just gone.
Yeah, he was. He was actually, I think, one of the mechanics for the Project 1 Porsches that, unfortunately, their race didn't quite go the way they were all hoping for. Dramas in the night, of course. That's really the main factor in that, but it can happen to anyone, and unfortunately, that meant Ben Sharp might have been on an early flight home, or maybe he was just having to make sure everything was packed up and arrived on time just enough for some BSR Tuesday night action. What can he manage here? I think he was actually out and about in the Mondays doing a few races, so we'll find out if that practice has been enough, because he did join quite late, actually just joined in midway through this qualifying session. So we'll keep our eyes on Ben Sharp and see what he can do on his return to the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy, and hopefully we'll see him right up until the end. And well, what? Ben Sharp, oh my word, he's certainly back in good form, isn't he? He's swinging it through the corners, absolutely on the ragged edge. And I think we're going to be seeing a Ben Sharp a bit different to the one we've seen before, because usually Ben is a very managed driver, tends to go for the podiums, not the race victories, but bags a lot of good, consistent points on the way there. Maybe we'll see Ben Sharp take a few more risks and go for glory here in these final races.
It's quite possible. You know, at the end of the day, you've got a couple of rounds left. There's nothing to lose, really, to a certain degree. Like I said, Ben Sharp isn't running in the championship. He's not running for any championship positions. He's missed too many rounds. Ultimately, though, he's going to want to obviously be nice and cautious, nice and conscious of everyone else that is in the championship fight. But at the same time, I mean, he's on the grid. There's absolutely no reason why Ben can't race and can't race with obviously the people that are at the top. We know that he's got the pace. He's got the pace to, to rival the likes of obviously Andy McEwen, Sam Smith, Jason Cooper, and so on. I think we are going to see Oars. Linscombe Hatfield goes a little bit wide, going out to turn 7. That's going to cost him right. This is the key thing here: is slow in, fast out. If there's any track that you would ever use that, and you would ever treat that as gospel, Road Atlanta is the one, because at turn 7, which is what Linscombe Hatfield just had that moment there, that is such a time killer. It's so easy. You only have to run a little bit wide on the exit, and you've lost 2 or 3 tenths by the end of that straight. It's such a tricky thing to manage. You've got to be careful. So I think we're going to see Ben Sharp. He's going to be absolutely going for it, and I don't blame him because, like I said, a couple of rounds left. Want to get stuck in. Want to make presidents know that he's back and ready to go, especially for the next season as well. And I think this is actually going to be a perfect opportunity to, take a bit of a reset. I think, and be able to get ready for the next season ahead.
Yeah, obviously getting into the swing of things, getting back into the driving seat as we watch now. Craig Cockrell, who's going to get into the slipstream of the cars in front and try and go for an improvement into these last moments of qualifying. Just behind Liam Stimpson now, the AM driver who is top of the Time Jeeps in the AM division. Coming through the final corner now. This isn't an outlapse. This will be a valid time coming through from Craig Cockrell. What will it be? As he breaks the timing beam and crosses the line. Not an improvement for Craig at the moment. So we'll be able to see what he can pull off later on. Andy McEwen is actually out on the circuit as well. Came in midway through, I think, for a fresh set of tyres and is now trying to improve and get up onto the front row of the grid, with Sam Smith currently occupying that spot in the Pro-Ams. Luke Cooper as well was showing good pace in practice, but I don't think he's been able to get the luck of maybe a bit of draft, maybe a bit of slipstream down that back straight, because that can be worth quite a lot of time, as we see. Oh my word. I think all 4 wheels were definitely off the ground at some point there for Craig Cockrell, as he just absolutely slid it through that left-hander at the exit of the S's, and I think he's aborting this lap now. You can see backing out quite a lot of time being left there between himself and Liam Stimpson, and might actually allow the 888 of Ashley Stimpson through as well. So the 2 Stimpsons currently trying to improve their standing, as I think Michael Seal has just had an off potentially.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at that. I'm just intrigued to see what happened, because obviously, you can tell obviously drivers are pushing, and they're pushing hard. Here is, okay, that's an interesting place to. That's an interesting place. Obviously, he got tagged on the grass and went round. So I mean, there wasn't moving over for anyone, so I'm not entirely sure. Could have been distracted by something out in the real world. I mean, distracted from the virtual world. Great camera angle here, going through the last corner on the curb. Fantastic camera angle. Even these MX5, you can carry a fair amount of speed going through the last corner, to be perfectly honest. In GT3s, GTEs, you can really carry some speed, but even the MX5s, they're surprisingly quick when they get the momentum. And once you keep the momentum there, Sam Smith is in the pits. He won't be able to, unless he comes out now, and even then that might be a bit of a struggle. No, he won't. So Sam Smith is now settled for P2, but Andy McEwen, he's only 4 thousandths behind, and that's the key thing there. It's going to take at least a lap or so for Andy's tyres to really warm up and come up to temperature, but, and this actually, do you know what? This will be his last opportunity to do so. He has got a bit of traffic up ahead, though, from the 777. So let's keep that in mind. Douglas Stewart currently in P17. I said that is traffic nevertheless. Ultimately, he's timed it well. As long as Douglas Stewart doesn't hold him up, then realistically, this could be a good opportunity for Andy McEwen to gain. I mean, we're talking, like I said, 5 thousandths of a second, and he's on the front row. It's not a lot, is it?
Yeah, Douglas Stewart in the slipstream of one of his teammates up ahead, and I'm not sure that is actually, I was going to say if that was Arthur Pansel or not, but it is. So Arthur trying to help out his teammate, but might inadvertently be helping out Andy McEwen. Andy's going to be in a great position to carry a lot of speed and get a lot of slipstream, but he's made a mistake or lost a bit of time, I think, coming out of the S's. And now he's had to abort into the pits, not able to improve. So unfortunately, third place is where Andy McEwen will be starting the race. However, there's a lot to come still in the races. You don't win the races just on qualifying, especially at this circuit where the slipstreaming is so strong. Did these 2 get across the line just in time for another lap? I'm not sure if they did.
I don't know. They may have done. Looking at the delta, it isn't showing as their laps are being recorded, so quite possibly not. But I mean, to be fair, they may have just sneaked in. It was difficult for us to tell, really. Nothing's coming up on the sector times, so I believe this could very well not count. Just a bit of extra practice as well, which is always, it's always key. If you can get some practice, you can get some practice. If you're able, if they have time to write and they've just got in, fair play. Actually, do you know what they have? Look at the sectors time. So yeah, Jason Cooper. Yep, you can see the sectors. I wonder, there's Luke Cooper, who's got a green second sector. Interesting. He's only got to make up a 10th and a half, or just over a 10th and a half, and that's going to put him up onto the second row of the grid, just behind Annie McEwen. Can he push Michael Seal down? This is going to be the best opportunity that he's got, because he's now got all of the draft from his teammate, Jason Cooper, who has secured, unless Jason Cooper helps Luke Cooper out a little bit too much, then this could quite possibly be just about manages to get it stopped. I thought he was going to go a little bit wide then, but manages to keep it all in check. Flat out now, down to the start-finish line. Is it going to be an improvement? We've seen 2 best sectors from Luke Cooper. It's going to be an improvement, but is it going to be enough? As he comes across the line, is it going to be enough? It's going to be close, whatever it is. Oh, it's not.
But not enough. And I think where that time was left was just coming through that final chicane. He left a little bit of time on the table. You could see the run in comparison to his teammate. He was just losing a lot of time there as they came up the hill and back down again. So unfortunately, Luke Cooper not able to improve his grid position, improving his time, however, and this could bode well for the race. He will, of course, have to get past Michael Seal and Annie McEwen to have any chance of a overall podium, but nevertheless, we'll be able to see how he can race and maybe try and help out his teammate and brother in this first of 4 races. Just seeing if there are any other cars out on track. I'm not sure if they are, so we'll be waiting a little while until the servers switch over into the race and we can bring you all of the action here on Absolute Sim Racing for the first of 4 races here in the BSR Tegiwa MX5 Trophy.
Indeed, we will. And here we go. Here is the grid coming up for for race 1 of round 11. There we go, at Road Atlanta. Jason Cooper taking pole position with Sam Smith in P2. Annie McEwen rounds out the first of the second row in P3. Michael Seal just behind in P4. Luke Cooper P5, Kerry Cockrell in P6, with Arthur Panzel in P7. Ben Sharp takes P8 on his return. Good performance from him. James Neven P9, Liam Simpson running at the top 10, with Nick Clibbins and Julian Schroer in P11 and 12. Then we have Ashley Stimpson, Ryan Main, Douglas Stewart, Craig McDonald taking for 13th to 16th, Duncan Cope in 17th, Michael Linscombe Hatsfield in 18th, with Colin Sansom 19th, James Clark in P20, Glenn Humberstone 21, Mark Oliver at 22nd, Fiona Sissons 23rd, and Stephen Cox in P24. And that is your grid for race 1.
Yeah, and what a cracking grid this is. Exciting prospects into the race. We know that Sam Smith and Annie McEwen are very experienced in fighting it up at the front of the field, even in these first races. So expect to see these two trying to challenge Jason Cooper maybe into the first corner. It isn't the longest to front, so I think Jason might be safe, but especially on the end of the first lap coming into that final chicane, Jason Cooper might be needing to look a little bit in his rear view mirrors as well up through the field. Keep an eye open for Liam Stimpson in the AM class. Great effort to get inside just about the top 10. That number 3 Simtech racing car going very well for him at the moment. Ashley Simpson as well, 13th, his brother and teammate, going to try and help him out. But now we focus to the front, focus on the lights, and focus on the racing here as we get underway for the first of 4 here this evening at Road Atlanta. And it's a good start from Sam Smith, who's going to try and look to go around the outside into the first corner and might get forced out actually by Andy McEwen. Andy's going to try and take the advantage now coming up the hill into the left and then the right-hander, and he does secure second place. Andy McEwen, great position of his car, having that inside line and making good use of it into the first corner there. Liam Stimpson is up a place as well, I think just up ahead of James Neve on the opening lap. So good stuff from the AM driver to make up a place in the early stages. I can see him well if he can keep up into that fighting pack. Ben Sharp as well, returning back to the championship as we're up in front, side by side here, as well as Arthur Panzel looks to go through on Michael Seal. And there's contact between Panzel and Sharp. I think they've just been able to sort themselves out. Andy McEwen was able to hold off against Sam Smith. You saw those two going side by side, coming into the first of the two right-handers. And now look at this, Duncan Cope in the 197, finding a way through if he can on Ryan Main. Ryan, who's trying to hold very firm on the inside, but are they going to go 3 wide? Oh, or are they going to squeeze and collide with one another? Duncan Cope playing with fire here, right around the outside. Is he able to pull it off? No, he can't. Is he caught by the 777? No, he isn't. Oh, but a definite bump of the curb or a divot there just on the inside has really hampered his run, and around the outside will go Douglas Stewart, or will at least try to go around the outside up into 16th place. Near enough as I say that. He gets wide on the exit and Duncan Cope will fight him back. So very exciting racing up here, as I think Craig McDonald's just sent one, or tried to send one, on the Stimpsons there side by side, up in front and side by side back here, and a great cutback from Douglas Stewart, and I think he's going to be able to hold it going down into the S's. Yes, he does. Cracking racing there. And cracking racing everywhere, really, as we're seeing Ben Sharp, I think, just up ahead now of Arthur Panzel.
Indeed we are. Ben Sharp has got ahead of Arthur Panzel, only about a tenth and a half away from Michael Seal, bear in mind. So I wonder if there's going to be some more moves for Ben Sharp on the cards. I'd put money on there absolutely being. We know that Ben, like I see, he's going to come back. He's going to want to be able to race hard. He's very, very close. Like I said, as long as you can stay with the person in front, you'll be able to carry that slipstream. The person that is going to lose out now is Michael Seal, because he's got no one ahead of him. He's got absolutely no one. Look at the gap ahead. There's no one there. So Ben Sharp, prime position here to actually make the move. You can see on the delta as well. Let's not forget Arthur Panzer, though, because he might try and have a move as well. Ben Sharp does pull out. Is there going to be a possible move? They are going to be side by side pretty much going into it. Last of the late breakers. I think Michael Seal, though, has indeed braked later, but it's too late. Oh, Ben Sharp kicking the rear out. Wow, I tell you what, Ben Sharp, while he has been away for a few weeks, has he lost any of his racing touch? No, not at all. Great racing straight out of the bat from Ben Sharp, and he's now up into a top 5. Got a bit of a gap, though, and he's got Arthur Panzer behind. So Luke Cooper is next in Ben Sharp's sight, but he's got to be careful for that man there, Arthur Panzer.
That was a great overtake, wasn't it, from Ben Sharp? You can see he kicked the rear to get the rotation to the next, but he goes and undoes it all at the very next opportunity, coming into the first corner. Just too much speed in and loses out on all those positions he worked so hard to gain, and he could lose out on another as Liam Stimpson goes through. Yes, he does, and he's also offline. Is that the potential for a slowdown perhaps from Ben Sharp? It would be devastating if it was. He's going to have to lose and hemorrhage a lot of time. I think he's been able to service that coming down through the S's, but look at how many places he's lost. He was just about up into 6th place, but all of a sudden he's down all the way in 10th now, and with a lot of work to do. And then looking back a little bit further, I think Craig McDonald and Ashley Simpson are very close. Look at that, the delta time. They are side by side coming through the second of the two right-handers before coming onto this long back straight, and they will be trying to work out where they're going to be finding themselves into the chicane side by side.
Quite possibly, but also as well, look at this, Andy McEwen, this is the closest he's been all race. Oh, that's a late lunge on the brakes. Jason Cooper has to defend. He has to, he doesn't have to defend. He has to give room, but then look at that, Sam Smith, he's come up the inside. Timed it perfectly. He's got Andy McEwen. He might even get Sam Smith at the rate that he's going. And you know what? I think he's gone and done it. Sam Smith, they're going to go side by side. Wrong camera angle there, cameraman. Thank you very much. But Andy McEwen's now going to come back. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. This is not going well. Sam Smith backs out, rightly so, I reckon. 2 cars don't fit into one space. He's going to try and get the cutback, because now Jason Cooper and Andy McEwen have both held each other up. Sam Smith is in a great position here, and again, we're seeing great racecraft from what's going on. Have a look at Luke Cooper, though. Luke Cooper's up into P4, okay, and he's making up time because everyone in front is battling. Jason Cooper's having to really aggressively defend, and he's got another 10 minutes of this. If I were him, in a way, if there's going to be a move from Andy McEwen, I wouldn't fight it all that much and stay with them. You know you've got the pace and you had in qualifying. There's no reason to say, well, you haven't got that in the race. Sit behind, let the move happen, and then try and take them later on in the race. Just pressure, which is exactly what Andy McEwen is doing now.
Yeah, he's really trying to pile it on, trying to find a way through all of these drivers. Very brave, fighting with one another. That was almost an amazing overtake from Sam Smith to hold on and try and get through into first, but it just wasn't able to work out for him, and he got shuffled back through the pack when they made it through wide into the first corner. But now Andy McEwen has a second chance to try and go for a move. He's closing in. You can see that delta time is going to come now just under 1/10 of a second. Very defensive line being taken by Jason Cooper, forcing Andy McEwen to break late and try and hang it around the outside, which doesn't seem to work out. And Jason Cooper now can actually extend his advantage after getting such a great run. Held it firm on the inside and then opened out the second of the two corners into that complex. And now Andy McEwen might need to worry a little bit as Sam Smith is right up there behind him.
Yes, very true. A little bit further down the field, though.
Oh,
James
Sam Smith
Clark
actually has gone through. Oh, and Andy McEwen's gone back through. So these two are fighting up in front, and these two are fighting right back behind as well. We'll come to a replay, hopefully, of all of the action as we see James Clark slot himself just up ahead of Ryan Main.
Let's have a look at the replay here then. So here it comes. So we see Sam Smith. Does he go a little bit too deep? My guess is he does. Just goes, no, Andy McEwen again, hold it around the outside. The amount of grip that McEwen's got in his car is very, very good indeed. He's able to just hang it round and keep it. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So Sam Smith was back in P2 for a brief few moments, and then he's now dropped back down into P3. I don't think that's going to phase him too much. Look at Jason Cooper, though. He's pulled over a second now. That's the key thing. He's pulled over a second. If he can keep that, he's secured it. I don't think there's really anything that can happen there from that far down. You will get a little bit of slipstream, but I don't think it's realistically going to be enough.
As Arthur Panzer's trying to find a way through on Luke Cooper. Luke is going to start to feel the pressure and have to go defensive. You can see the attitude of his car. He's already going through onto the inside, then trying to squeeze Arthur Panzer on the run into the braking zone. But then I think realizes that is never going to end entirely safely for himself. Backs out of it. Concedes the position at the moment for Arthur Panzer. Looks like he's on a big charge and might try to seek to use Arthur Panzer as maybe a bit of a battering ram and coming back up through the field and let Arthur do all the works while Luke can pick up the scraps and then just absolutely go for it right at the last moment. So speaking of going for it, Sam Smith is going to try it once more into the first corner. They are side by side for second place, and once more Andy McEwen confidence with the car to hang it around the outside. This is excellent stuff, but all the time they're doing this, you can see Jason Cooper extending his gap just a little bit more.
This will keep happening as well. This is what you got to think. This will now be the norm. He's got to... Jason Cooper's got to keep his head down because, again, it's not over yet. It's really, really not. You've got to run until the line, especially at somewhere like Road Atlanta. Duncan Cope has had a bit of a moment. So what has happened here? Is it a bit too deep, possibly into turn one? I reckon it's going to tag the curb. You can see... Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Someone... I couldn't quite see
the
who
Triple
that
Eight of
was.
Ashley Stimpson. The Triple Eight of Ashley Stimpson getting all sorts of out of shape through the first corner. And I'm not sure. I think he was almost certainly trying to hold on to the brakes, but oh dear. You can hear on board that there's no real engine noise there. He's just trying to slow it down, but the attitude of the car just wants the pendulum around and comes right across onto the racing line, coming into Ryan Main. And, of course, Duncan Copes. That's three drivers out in one moment. They have actually closed in as well, actually up in front, as we see Sam Smith make a move on Andy McEwen. They had closed right up to the back of Jason Cooper. But then in making that overtake and doing that little bit of battle, they've lost out all of a sudden. Now the gap is up to just over 1 second. But can Andy McEwen fight his way through? Goes to the outside, then to the inside. Very late, but very committed. But then backs out of it, chooses to have a bit of a smarter line and maybe slotting in, seeing if Sam Smith now can close up to Jason Cooper and what they can all do into these final 5 minutes of racing.
You've got to... Timing is everything here. Realistically, Jason Cooper is gone now. I don't think there's no real way you can be able to catch up with Jason Cooper in the next few laps. Sam Smith goes a bit wide, though. So does Andy McEwen. Whoa, do you know what? I think Arthur Panzer went through as well. All three of them making up their own track, as it turns out. I think recently someone else got off the bat there. I think it was Michael Seal from the 4040 Racing MX5 that had another little bit of a moment. Realistically, again, timing is so key. If what I would be doing here at this moment in time is, again, you've got some time. You've got 0.6 of a second on Sam Smith. You have to push. You have to make sure that you can keep with that. Don't try and make a move until, realistically, the last couple of laps at least. because you can carry that speed all the way down this straight. If you're about 2.5 tenths off, you can have that lunge. So, you know, even timing how far you are away from the person as well is always another key thing. I thought Arthur Panzer was going to have a move then, but that is not the case. Ben Sharp might have a move, though, on Luke Cooper. Bear in mind, he was dropped down to P10 at one point. This is going to be the battle, possibly. And up into P6. Doesn't quite make it there, though. But there's a couple of positions, I reckon,
Got
it in.
drive. He's got a good run, Ben Sharp. He might challenge into the first corner here.
He might very well do. I don't think it depends if he's got the commitment. He's committed through the last corner, so he might very well do. I'm just saying, I reckon there's a couple of positions in it for Ben. If he can get past Luke Cooper, which he might very well do now, is it going to be up the inside he goes? And you know what? Luke Cooper didn't really fight it all that much. And you know what? I think as well, Craig Cockrell's actually had a bit of a slower turn one, so that's really going to help the chances. Yeah, my money was on 2 spaces, 2 more positions for Ben Sharp. And you know what? I don't think it's too far off because Craig Cockrell again goes wide. This is just playing so well into the hands of Ben Sharp. I mean, this is perfect for him. Absolutely perfect stuff.
Yeah, excellent if you are Ben Sharp, because he's going to close in. Look at how much, though, he goes wide off of the exit. There's not going to be any gravel left from the amount of time the drivers have gone through that exit gravel trap, but they carry the speed through, don't lose out on too much, and in doing so, they can get a great run into these next couple of corners. But look up in front, they have been able to close the gap now to under a second to Jason Cooper as well. So we said, oh, Jason Cooper might just run away with this. Not necessarily. The slipstream is so strong that they've ate up that 1.2 second advantage, got it now down to about 7/6 tenths of a second. So this could be a lot of action, but Ben Sharp now into the slipstream is going to try and go through, trying to make the position, getting into the top 5. He's got the inside. I don't think Craig Cockrell has fought that too hard. And Ben Sharp will find himself up into 5th place. Can he hold it through onto the exit? I think so, yes. He's able to keep the car on the straight and narrow and able to hold on now to 5th place. I'm not sure if he'll be able to get 4th by the end of the race because Arthur Panzer has been very quick and has built up a 2.2 second advantage. But if these front 4 do battle, that brings in a whole nother train of cars, doesn't it? And these 3 will be trying to see if they can get something out of this, maybe snatch a podium.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, do you know what? I mean, have a look at the battles here. We've actually got, I mean, looking down, we've got Liam Stimpson and Nick Clibbins having a bit of a battle. Liam Stimpson is getting right up and involved. He's doing really well at the moment that I've just that I've noticed. So, you know, fair play to Liam Stimpson. He's really trying to make a move. Have a look at the gap ahead though, because Jason Cooper, I mean, I don't know what's happened. Whether he's got damage or not, whether he's jumped over a curb too much or something, but he might just not have pace.
I don't think it's damage. I think it's just because you are flat out for quite a lot of the lap. You're flat out basically from, well, out of here all the way down into the chicane, and then flat out after the chicane all the way into the first corner. And then once you come through turn 3 at the crest of the hill, you're flat out all the way before you come down to the end of the S's. So again, you're gaining time, gaining speed through there. Jason Cooper has not been able to run away with this as he was hoping, and Sam Smith will have a nose in front but have the lesser outside line and trying maybe to go for a switchback. Jason Cooper very deep into the corner as that hampered his run coming out. Maybe just a touch, but Sam Smith I don't think will be close enough to make a move. He'll instead look to maybe throw Jason off his line somewhat, and actually Jason not strong through that final corner whatsoever. The white flag has been waved, so now Sam Smith will challenge into the first corner for this final lap. And is he going to sweep through? Has he learned from what happened between himself and Andy McEwen? He's going to see if there's a way through. Andy's trying to find a piece of the pie as well. They will go side by side up at the top of the hill. Jason Cooper once again forced offline, will be slow all the way down through the S's, but you can't overtake through here. It's a one-line corner, so the drivers have to slot in behind one another. Can't afford to go 2 by 2. There's all Andy McEwen a little bit caught out. Jason Cooper with a very good exit. Will have some breathing space, but not too much. They come through these 2 right-handers now. Crucial for your lap in getting onto this back straight. Look at the speed being sent in by Sam Smith. He really has faith in his car at this late stage to try and snatch something again, hooking up the apex, getting a good exit. Jason Cooper could struggle here.
He might very well do. He's going to have to be late. He's going to have to be an absolute bandit on the brakes because Sam Smith is there. He's only a tenth and a half away now, and that's going to come down possibly side by side. Jason Cooper is naturally, as you would expect, he's going to take the inside line, forcing Sam Smith on the outside. But look at the overspeed. He's just going to have to brake so late. Can he actually do? Oh, there's a bit of contact between the two. Oh my goodness, Jason Cooper's going to go wide. They all go wide. Arthur Panzel might try and go around the outside. Oh my god, there's contact. What on... Jason Cooper has still managed in all of that to still come up. Ben Sharp all of a sudden is in P2.
Where on earth does that come from? Ben Sharp on his return comes through second, but Jason Cooper, how on earth did he hold on to that? How did he take that race victory? That was so close, nail-biting stuff. Andy McEwen does come home in P3 after the end of all of that, but might need a new set of race overalls after that drama. And oh, that's a very forlorn looking Sam Smith on the exit of the chicane. Hopefully he'll be able to come through for the next races and get something out of this, because his racing definitely deserved something from it, as we've just seen Mark Oliver come through in P3, bottom step of the AM class podium. Oh my word, what on earth happened at the end there? I want to be able to see if we can maybe have a replay of that after we've gone through all of the spinning wheel action to find out who is on pole position for race 2.
Absolutely. Let us get the spinning wheel up and then we'll have a look. I'm speechless. I'm genuinely speechless. We are going to definitely have a look at what happened there, because that was all sorts of crazy, I think, and I'd be interested to sort of break that down. I've got a couple of theories on that, but let's have a look first at the wheel. Where is it going to be? And if anything, there we go. The wheel is spinning, and it's going to be a top 11. So quite a small reverse grid from what we've normally seen.
Yeah, top 11 reverse grids. That'll be good news to the likes of Jason Cooper, Ben Sharp, Andy McEwen, our podium finishes. That means they won't be starting too far back and have a good chance of a repeat trip to the podium here in the second race. But shall we have a little look at the finishing order before dissecting all of that action that happened into those final few corners?
Let's have a look, because there is a lot to digest. So there we go, that top 11. Right, I'm going to play it in very, very slow motion as well, because like I said, there is a lot to unpack here. Let's not say anything until we see what happened. So it all was sort of instigated. I think there was a bit of contact between Sam Smith and Jason Cooper when they both had a bit of a moment coming down into the braking zone. I'm just going to see if I can find. Is it here? I have to scroll a little bit further back, but we should. Okay, this is a bit too far forward. This could be a little bit better, possibly here. Right.
I think they just made the contact now, aren't they? And
so
they're coming into the corner.
Back, I think. Right, so here we go. So this is now coming down. Actually, this may have been... Yes, so there's the contact. So Sam Smith comes over a little bit. Sam Smith does come over ever so slightly, which would be... I think... Have a look from Jason Cooper's perspective. Actually, let's have a look from Sam Smith.
I think they're both slightly drifting, but yeah, Sam Smith is drifting a little bit more. There is a bit of contact. You can see that unsettles the car as they're trying to slow down. The cars are braking traction. It means they aren't slowing as quickly. Both of the drivers, they turn in. You can see that Jason Cooper makes the apex, but carries too much speed in on account of the contact that was made. So basically the pair of them overshoot a little bit. And then Andy McEwen sort of arrives on the scene. I think everything's frozen on my end, so I'm not sure what on earth is going on.
That's right. I'm just pausing it just so we can have a moment to digest sort of again what happened. But this is from Arthur Panzel's perspective. Now, I mean, you can see through here that Arthur Panzel's got a clean line of sight. He's got an absolutely clean run. Okay, so realistically, there's nothing that he is doing he's doing nothing wrong at this point. He's just going through. So if we were to go from TV2, I'll look from his
this is good view, yeah. And
so
then
it goes
slow-mo
in.
it through. So we're off the circuit, and they're going to have to try and get back on at some point. But Andy McEwen and Arthur Panzel are already occupying that space, and you would say at this point, Andy McEwen could be getting in a lot of trouble here because the two cars are going to come through, and you might be a favourite for Arthur Panzel to try and take this one, but that's not how it transpires, is it? Somehow, out of all of this, Jason Cooper comes through and takes the race victory. So we'll, I think, have a little bit of a forward through all of this. Again, slow-mo. You can see Arthur Panzel sees what's going to happen, gives space onto the apex when all the cars rejoin.
Do you know what I would do? And I almost don't want to say it, but what you could probably have is Sam Smith may receive possibly some form of penalty for an unsafe rejoin. Now, Jason Cooper was obviously still in that same position, almost rejoined it in an identical format. The problem is, obviously, Jason Cooper didn't have anyone on the inside, whereas then he wasn't obscuring, he wasn't obstructing anyone. If we were to have a look now, where Sam Smith tries to join, he's just carrying a bit too much momentum in there as well. So unfortunately, Sam Smith seemed to have been the instigator on that. Arthur Panzer and both Arthur Panzer and Andy McEwen were both innocent parties in that. I mean, Andy McEwen still came in with P3.
It is, yeah, and it's very difficult, I think, because all of a sudden you've got these drivers, they're racing so hard, and your initial instinct is when you've made a mistake and you're off the circuit, and the last lap, coming through the last corner, is quick, get back on as quickly as possible, but that isn't necessarily how that'll all work out. And then somehow, out of all of this, the 24 living in the background comes out in second place. So let's have a little bit of a run through of all of this just to see exactly how all of that transpires, as we get the results flashing up on your screens now. We'll run through this quickly, I think, actually, as we've got another race. We've got, well, 3 races still to come, don't we? So Jason Cooper taking the race victory in dramatic fashion ahead of Ben Sharp, who gets a little bit of fortune going his way. And McEwen did end up finishing 3rd and taking the top honours in the Pro-Am category, ahead of Arthur Panzel, Luke Cooper, Craig Cockrell, Liam Stimpson, Michael Seal, Nick Clemens, and James Neve, who completes the top 10. James Stimpson did as well take the AM class victory in all of that. Julian Schroer is reverse grid at pole position in the 444 for Spicky Racing. So we'll be able to see what he can do in the next race ahead of James Clark, who will be starting the next race and finishes this race in 12th place ahead of Linscombe Hatfield, Mark Oliver, Craig McDonald, Douglas Stewart, Fiona Siddons, and Colin Sansom. They're in 18th position. 19th, we'll see Glenn Humberston ahead of Duncan Cope with Sam Smith, bitterly disappointed with that race, but still scoring points down in 21st, ahead of Ashley Stimpson, Ryan Main, and Stephen Cox. Oh my word. What a finish to that race, and we've still got 3 more races still to come.
We have indeed. We're going to take a quick short break and then we'll be back for race 2. If race 1 then needs to go by, it's going to be exciting. Make sure you stick around.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing. And what a race we've just been treated to that saw Jason Cooper take top honours. After a great qualifying performance, he was able to convert that just about into a race victory. Ben Sharp had a good race, but also good fortunes at the end to secure second place. And Andy McEwen in the wars through the final couple of corners, but still able to soldier on and carry on to get third place. And with an 11th reverse grid, that will see Julian Schroer starting from pole position for Spicky Racing. So we'll be able to see what happens there in these next few moments when the second race of the evening is going to get underway in just about a minute's time.
Indeed, we will. And as we said, if race one was anything to go by, we know we're going to have some good action. I think as well. We were discussing a little bit more. I mean, that last race, so unlucky for Sam Smith. Like, it's just unfortunately, wrong place at wrong time, so to speak. And we've all been there. Like I said, I've been there as well. And it's such a shame. It's such a shame because you're wanting to, coming through to the last couple of corners, you're wanting to make sure that you don't lose all too much pace, if any. And you've just got to make sure that, you are in a position where minimal time loss, plus you've got making sure that you've got good track placement. Then when you go wide, you then got to panic a little bit. You think, well, I need to get back on circuit as soon as you can. So many things go through your head about a million miles an hour. It's so difficult to keep all in check. But anyway, still 3 more races to go. So at the moment, I think this is something that's going to be something I'm sure Sam Smith will be putting behind him and moving forward with the races in the next 3 races to come. Because realistically, it's still not over, is it? We've got this, obviously, one more round after, but I mean, as someone goes for a small excursion in the barrier, that's going to hopefully that doesn't happen in the race. Well, this is it. Race 2 just about to get underway.
Yeah, race 2 is going to be up on our screens very, very soon. So we've got plenty of action still to come. Like we said, Julian Schroer pole position with James Neve alongside him on the front row with Nick Clements, Michael Seal, Liam Stimpson, Craig Cockrell, Luke Cooper, Arthur Pansel, Andy McEwen and Ben Sharp making up your top 10 with race 1 victor Jason Cooper in 11th ahead of James Clark in 12th. 13th, we'll see Linscombe Hatfield with Mark Oliver alongside in 14th ahead of Craig McDonald, Douglas Stewart, Fiona Simmons, Colin Sansom, Glenn Humberston. Duncan Cope will round out the top 20 with Sam Smith, Ashley Simpson, Ryan Main, and Stephen Cox rounding out the field of 24 cars that will get this second race of the evening underway. Julian Schroer then from pole position. What can he do to try and keep James Neve at bay into the first corner? We have seen several times at the outside line. It's actually surprisingly favourable if you can hang it out and carry the speed and the momentum through up the hill. It can really work in your favour. So Julian Schroer off the line. He's going to be raring to go. The engine notes will rise and we do go racing here. Is it a good enough start to keep James Neve at bay? I think he's going to be struggling too because James has got a really good run and does have just a slight overlap into the first corner. We'll try and sweep through around the outside. Is he able to do it though on the cold tyres? No is the answer. So Julian Schroer will lead the field through the opening corner. James Neve and Nick Clemens right behind him. Michael Seal and Liam Stimpson trading places there. Liam just getting through up into 4th. As all Julian Schroer very, very loose off onto the grass, and James Neve is coming through.
Whoa!
Oh, several cars coming through. A massive slide that from Liam Stimpson. He's trying to collect the car back up once again. Really held offline. All of the other cars having to check up to avoid him. Oh my word, that's had a massive knock-on effect. Chaos in the background as they try and navigate through. Ben Sharp's feeling a bit feisty and trying to snatch a position ahead of Andy McEwen. And you know what? That was a great overtake there from Ben Sharp. A bit scary as they went 3 wide. But he was still able to hold off and hold his way through. But that was all kickstarted by one little moment from Liam Stimpson.
I mean, Ben Sharp is just a man on a mission, already up into P7. Great stuff indeed. But now this is where it becomes a bit more interesting because going through for the first time down into the final chicane. Slipstream working here. Let's go back to blimp cam. I mean, look at, well, as you can't see, that's a tree line, so we're going to ignore that quickly and go back to Ben Sharp, going up the inside possibly of Arthur Panzel. He's already made the move stick. Is he going to try and make a lunge on Stimpson? No, he does not. Releases the brake a bit to try and carry a bit more momentum. Arthur Panzel says, no, thank you. Oh, it's a spin. Ben Sharp's been involved. There loads of cars have been involved. That's a front wheel gone for Ben Sharp. That's his race done and dusted.
Jason Cooper out as well. Jason Cooper. Big crash there. A lot of damage to the front of the car. I think he might still be able to finish this race. So he might be able to wrap up the championship here this evening regardless. Tell you what, one driver that has profited from this has been Andy McEwen, who's going to sweep around the outside. Or tried to with James Clark, but he doesn't. He runs wide off onto the grass. Rejoins just behind Craig McDonald. Very smart to do that safely, but that's allowed a big gap to erupt in front as Linscombe Hatfield. Oh my word, big moment for Michael Linscombe Hatfield, AM Championship leader, with a big incident there coming over turn 3. We're going to see a bit of what happens here. So does he just get a little bit too much over the curb, or is there a tag from behind? That could be an incident in the tag from behind. Actually, he keeps it out of the wall, so this is good for Michael in this late stage of the championship. He isn't going to be losing out to Fiona Siddons in the final rounds of this championship, at least this time by. Is Colin Sansom. Oh, what has happened to him? Actually, no, that wasn't happening. That was just like, we just come back live. My mistake.
Yeah. Right, so James Neve actually up ahead. He's going to have a possibly move. Well, Julian Schroer's going to try and overtake. So Julian Schroer round the outside. James Neve on the inside. Who's going to be last the late breakers? We've got a bit of a battle behind as well of James Clark Seal and Craig McDonald. Nothing happens there, but what's going to happen a little bit further out? Oh, that's a car gone off. Who was that? That was, oh, do you know what? I couldn't quite see that was. I think it was Michael Seal that had a moment. Craig McDonald has gone wide. That's going to open the door for Andy McEwen to come back through. Sorry, no, that's actually, no, that was Andy McEwen coming back through. And Arthur Panzel going, thank you very much as well. So Craig McDonald also losing out to, Luke Cooper, Arthur Panzel, and Andy McEwen. So Andy McEwen, a small little off. Now he's making up some positions again, but he is going to go on the defensive from Arthur Panzel, who just sails around the outside. I wonder if damage is now hurting damage is now hurting at this moment in time. It doesn't look like to be any damage on Andy McEwen's car. So it could just be a little bit off pace, like just keeping the momentum up. It's so difficult. If you lose it, you've got to try and get it back. It takes what feels like an age. So that could be why.
It certainly does. That could definitely be part of the equation coming into this, as we'll see. Oh, big moment there from Michael Seal. A little bit of contact between himself.
That was James Clark.
That was, James Clark, the 94, having a moment, having a collision coming together that's seen Michael Seal drop way down the order, and I think he's got a bit of damage to take from that, which means he'll be slow down the straight. So that's one thing you don't want to have, is front-end damage on this track, because it limits so many of the options of where you can try and go for move and try and make an overtaking opportunity work for you. As we'll now see Craig Cockrell try and make something work for himself. Definite damage there onto the front of Michael Seal's car. It's not going to be holding him up too much. As you can see, it isn't as major as we thought, but it still will be enough to see Craig Cockrell come through and most likely secure 14th position. Yet, even before the braking zone, you can see Michael Seal giving up that position.
Well, again, you've got to pick your battles, haven't you? At a certain point, you've got to pick your battles. You've got to make sure that you're in a position to make some controlled overtakes and know when to race and know when not to race. It's purely simple as that. Linscombe Hatfield has actually passed Douglas Stewart, because Douglas Stewart has got a fair bit of damage, unfortunately, as you can see there. So that was a relatively easy overtake. Arthur Panzel, though, is having a bit of a look on Andy McEwen. Actually, do you know what? He was having a brief look for a moment, and then he went wide going through into going wide over the hill. Let's have a quick instant replay of that. Is it just going to be... I'll tell you what, that's why he went... that's why he was past, and that's why we had these moments, because it showed that he was over ahead, and then he wasn't again, because he would have got a slowdown. Putting in some good times, though. Some purple sectors we can see from Panzel, but also purple sectors we can see from McEwen. So let's not count that out just yet. Actually, do you know what? Arthur Panzel's going to be round the outside from Luke Cooper. Wow, what an overtake that was. Fantastic. So around turn 7.
That got us all off guard, wasn't it? And he's running wide though, coming through
Luke
turn
Cooper off
8,
guard as
which
well.
means that Yeah, Arthur Panzl is going to gain from that. Luke Cooper just with a bit of a mistake. Running wide off the exit after doing an amazing overtake around the outside. It just hasn't worked out for him this time. Binding could be losing out now to Sam Smith, who's actually had a good charge up through the field following the start of this race. And will start way down in 21st position, taking up loads of places up through now in the 6 minute, nearly 7 minute mark. Andy McEwen has just got through now on James Clark, and we'll be hoping that these front three start to battle and allow him to close in and try and find a way through. You can just see at the front of our shot ahead now of the 94 of James Clark.
Yeah, James Clark's going to have to work at this point. He's really going to have to work. There he is, James Clark on your screen. One person is also going to have to, he's having a bit of a battle. Ryan Main and Ashley Stimpson. I wonder if Ryan Main's going to be trying to pass me. Actually, do you know what? I think it was actually... No, so Ryan Main is indeed. This is a battle that is happening currently. I was getting a bit confusing with track positions, but no, this is very much on circuit. So Ashley Stimpson 3/10 in front, but he's lost a bit of time. Ryan Main has got a good amount of pace running down through. Actually, I thought he had a good amount of pace. He's actually pulling away. So Stimpson is pulling away from Main at this moment in time. So not as good of a move as I initially thought. I thought looked like he carried a good amount of speed, but that clearly was not the case. Arthur Panzl has got a good run on Craig McDonald. Here is Arthur Panzl there, but he is catching up. Sam Smith, though, is only just behind, so I wonder what Sam Smith is going to do. Is he going to push? Yes, he is actually. Sam Smith is going to want to make up for the unfortunate incident that happened in the first race, and he's already up. He wants P7, and I tell you what, he's going to want P6 as well. He might have an opportunity to get P5. We're going to have to see a little bit further back. Ryan May and Ashley Simpson are going to go side by side as well. So Sam Smith up the inside of Panzl. Great move there. Manages to keep it all in check, but Arthur Panzl's going to come back on him, going through down into the last couple of corners. And I wonder, Sam Smith, he's going to try and make the cutback. He's got to at this moment in time. Panzl goes over the curb a little bit too aggressively. That will cost him some time. Meanwhile, though, Craig McDonald, he's only 6 up the road, but he might start pulling away if these two aren't careful.
Nick Clibborn's having a good scrap there with Julian Schreier up in front and now into the lead of the race as well. Arthur Panzl could be vulnerable, though. No, he doesn't. He is able to carry on through and stay ahead. Speaking of getting ahead, Nick Clibbins now trying to build up a margin, trying to come through. But look at how wide he is getting onto the gravel off the exit, and that has actually held him up a bit. Julian Schreier closing down into turn 7, but won't be able to make a move just yet. Having a look at the times, Andy McEwen is closing in, but not enough, not quickly enough at the very least. So he'll be having to hope that there's some dramas up in front and that maybe Schreier can have a fight back against Clibbins, maybe slow each other up and see if there's any opportunities for him to snatch another podium.
I think realistically it's Craig Cockrell having a big moment. Managed to just brush the wall. That was minimal damage there, so managed to keep it all in check. I thought Nick Clibbins went a little bit too wide going out of turn 7, and I was correct. So Julian Schreier is now only a 10th behind. Backs out of it, though. Doesn't make the move this time around. I wonder if he's just going to pressure him at this point. Bear in mind, you've got James Neve not too far behind as well. So James Neve's only about a couple of tenths away from these two gentlemen here of Clibbins and Schreier. And I tell you what, it might even be that James Neve, again, if I was in his position, it depends. If Julian Schreier can, if you can both work together to try and pressure Clibbins for at least the next lap or so, then you can really start pushing to try and make the overtake. Clibbins has just pulled a bit of a gap at the moment, so this is going to have to be maintained, I think, realistically. Sam Smith's going to go around the outside, possibly, of Craig McDonald. Craig McDonald says, no, you're not. And I'll tell you what, Arthur Panzl might even have a bit of a moment. I wonder what's happened to Sam Smith, because Sam Smith lost a position. Who went down there? I think it was Luke Cooper that went down the order. So he's dropped. Sam Smith has now just got passed by Arthur Panzl, going through down into the hill, but he goes a little bit wide. I tell you what, Panzl going to try and go on the outside, inside of Craig McDonald. Oh, what's going to happen? Oh, whoa, my goodness. I mean, I'd say he's still going. Oh, my goodness. Sorry, that was just... I just can't get over that. Arthur Panzl, I mean, the man who can. And bear in mind, he's on a game controller. It baffles me. It really baffles me. It honestly does. That's just insane. I need to have a look at that again. That was ridiculous.
That was absolutely nuts. And you wouldn't have thought that he would be on an Xbox controller looking at the car controller he was able to display there. Look at this. We said earlier in the race that you're not really or you shouldn't be able to go side by side. There, it's not an overtaking spot. You'll have to slot in single file. But Arthur Pansel gives a big no to that and goes through anyway. And wow, that was just excellent stuff from Pansel there to make that move. Making a move. Great stuff from Ashley Stimpson, now able to get ahead of Ryan Main onto the brakes into the final chicane as Sam Smith and Craig McDonald trading places now. I think Sam just able to get ahead, and now Arthur Pansel's going to try and find his way through again. All four of these cars trying different lines, some off the track, some on it. Going now into the first corner, I think we'll start to see them sort each other out, as actually Pansel does have a bit of a run on Craig McDonald and is going to try and snatch a position if it works for him, but it doesn't quite. Again, though, he gets a good run coming down the hill. Are we going to see another chance for him to snatch a move along the inside? No, doesn't. I think his overalls are already brown enough. He doesn't need to make anything anything messier in the cockpit, so decides to drop back. And now look at this. They all seem a bit pedestrian. Nice and evenly spaced, nice and clean. But we'll know that will all change after these next couple of corners because they'll be dicing for position all the way down into the chicane.
Yep, they will indeed. Craig McDonald's pulling a good amount of pace through. Wowzer. I mean, I thought that was going to be the case because Sam Smith, well, he got less, but he was slow in. Again, the slow in, fast out method as well. We didn't quite see that from Craig McDonald. He went up the inside just a little bit too quite aggressively up into the corner, but it's actually paid off for him because he has made a move. Actually, Simpson's got back past Ryan Main against those two are still having a bit of a battle. But McDonald versus Smith, who is going to come out on top? It's going to be last of the late breakers. Can Sam Smith hold it around the outside? If he can get it around the outside here, no. I wonder if McDonald's braked a little bit too late. No, Sam Smith. Again, good positioning of the car. He's going to have the drive coming through. It might not be going through into the last corner. Actually, it might be going into the last corner. He's going to prove to be completely wrong. And Arthur Pam's going to have to follow him through, possibly. Good move there. And again, good placement of the car from Sam Smith. Didn't fight it into the chicane, but instead fought it going through into the last corner. Craig McDonald, again, coming straight back. Is it going to be a cutback here? Oh, it's going to be close, but Sam Smith just manages to get it there. Although I don't think it's going to be enough.
They will be side by side. Oh, just about into the corner. They all check each other up, don't they? Oh, my word. But what I have to say, though, Sam Smith is really getting these corner exits nailed down here, Dan. You can see coming out of that final chicane, he's really, really strong there because he was able to challenge Jason Cooper in that last race, let's not forget, through similar methods. So, what will we see here? Is Luke Cooper going to try his luck, maybe get through, or let these drivers all mix and mingle with each other and sort themselves out? Are we actually as well onto the final lap of the race? Where is Nick Clibbins as we come to the final 30 seconds of the race?
I think realistically, they're not going to be. They're going to be doing another lap. Yeah, I think 30 seconds, they will get one more lap in. There is Nick Clibbins. It's going to be close, though. Do you know what? They might not be doing it, actually. I'm intrigued. They'll do it.
Seconds now.
They'll do it, I reckon. I don't know. This could well be the last lap. Couldn't quite see if the white flag was being waved. It's going to be close.
10 seconds now.
I think they might just have
come
it.
Across.
Oh,
it will be very close. You said with every certainty that it was another lap, but there was only 3 seconds or so in it at the end. So Nick Clibbins able to come through and start another lap. Wasn't able to back off and have the race end there. He has to fight through and try and keep Julian Trout at bay. And look at this. We have another lap now of these drivers all racing together, all fighting for position. Look at Pansel. He's going to try and sweep through around the outside, but it doesn't work quite in his favour, as it's a good line being taken from Craig McDonald. Sam Smith capitalises on the run and gets ahead of Pansel. Tries to look through on a move. And oh my word, Craig McDonald very wide there. He's going to lose out 1 position, 2 positions. Will it be a third as Luke Cooper looks to come through? No, Luke backs out. Plays a very cautious game and decides to slot back in behind. And now, well, Sam Smith has a bit of a margin, but not margin enough to be truly comfortable coming through turn 7 and 8 now. Pick your braking point, sling the car in, make sure you slow it down with enough time to spare into the next corner, because this is so crucial for your run along this back straight as Ryan Main is going to try and find his way through on Mark Oliver in these dying stages of the race. But
Oh,
Nick Clibbins is going to take the race victory, but what's going to happen behind James Neve and Julian Schroer racing hard with one another? Julian just able to stay in front there, able to keep James Neve at bay. So it will be Nick Clibbins to take another race victory. I think his third of the season. Cracking stuff from Nick there. And oh my word, what is going on here? Oh, Sam Smith slow on the exit, is going to be close at the line between himself and Craig McDonald. I think Craig is just going to edge it into the final corner. Look at them all come through. It's going to be 3 cars fighting it at the line. Craig McDonald ahead of Sam Smith, just ahead of Arthur Panzel. Luke Cooper in 9th position there as Ashley Stimson comes through for 10th position. Wow, what a race that was. Very close, fighting all the way through.
Oh dear.
We've just been able to see, well, what a finish that was. Craig McDonald able to take the position at the final corner, the final time of asking. What a move. Jason Cooper there, able to finish that race following dramas at the early stages. To keep his battered and bruised MX5 on the racetrack. And Douglas Stewart will be rounding out the field as well in 19th place when he's able to come across the line. But what a race that was from Nick Clibbins. Hard fought, but hard earned as well to take a race victory. And we do have the reverse grid spinning wheel up on your screens now. So that will spin and it will land on a full reverse grid. So that will be good news for some of the drivers that lost out in that race. Jason Cooper being one of them. But we will be able then to run you through the finishing order for a very exciting second race.
We will do indeed. Let us bring it up now and we'll be able to show you what actually happened and who finished where. And here we go. Nick Clibbins from Simtech Racing taking that win over Julian Schroer, half a second behind. James Neve, P3 with Annie McEwen, running out the P4, another strong result from Annie McEwen. James Clark in P5 with Craig McDonald in 6th. Sam Smith in P7 with Arthur Panzel in P8. Luke Cooper in P9 with Ashley Stimson, rounding out the top 10. Ryan Main P11 with Mark Oliver in P12. Michael Seal P13. Duncan Cope in P14. And Colin Sampson in P15. Craig Cockrell 16th. Michael Linscombe Hatfield in 17th. Jason Cooper in P18. And in the final few cards with Douglas Stewart in 19th. Fiona Siddons, P20, Stephen Cox, 21st. And that's actually Stephen Cox not able to finish on the points finishing lap. Ben Sharp, again, taken out very early in the race. Glenn Humberstone, 23rd, and Liam Simpson would be 24th. But those drivers do not score points as they were more than a lap behind the race leader.
Yeah, so unfortunately, those drivers losing out, but it will be Fiona Siddons on the reverse grid pole position with Douglas Stewart alongside her on the front row. Jason Cooper, though, he's got to be favourite for another race victory this evening in the third race. Starting down in third for that. I mean, look, if there are any drivers coming through to have a chat with us, Dan, but I can't see them. So we will go for a short break, but there's a full reverse grid race still to come. So stay tuned to Absolute Sim Racing. You won't want to miss this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing for the third race of the evening. And you know what? We're going right into all of the action here. The cars are about to form up on the grid now, and we can run you through the starting order with Fiona Simmons on pole position, Douglas Stewart alongside herself in second. Jason Cooper, favourite for the race victory, and as long as he finishes this race, he will be crowned champion. starting in 3rd place. Here with Michael Linscombe, Hatfield, Craig Cockrell, Colin Sansom, Duncan Cope, Michael Seal, Mark Oliver, Ryan Main, Ashley Stimpson, and Luke Cooper. They're in 12th. 13th place then should see Arthur Panzel ahead of Sam Smith, Craig McDonald, James Clark, Andy McEwen, James Neve, Julian Schreier, Nick Clibbins, Ben Sharp, Glenn Humberston, and Liam Stimpson, who will complete the 23 cars. But I can see that the green flag has been waved just about through the fog. You can see the cars getting underway now. Fiona Siddons actually getting a good start to the race, but Douglas Stewart is going to try and fight her all the way through into the first corner. Look at this. It's a definite change in conditions, wouldn't you say, Dan, as we see the cars make their way up through into the first corner, and then before they start to plunge themselves back downhill. And big off up in front. Douglas Stewart making a mistake, having to cut across the track. That's going to be a slowdown that he'll have to serve all the way down through. Oh no, Fiona Siddons is off. She rejoins the track just ahead of Jason Cooper, but I think that could be a slowdown for her as well. So Jason Cooper will come through and might have an easier time with things than he was expecting to come into the lead of the race. He's going to have to try and sweep it through around the outside into turn 7. And then again into turn 8. Not been able to get the move done fully there. Does get it done though, coming out of the corner. So Jason Cooper, as it stands, will be crowned champion after this race, so long as he's able to finish in this position, finish as the race leader. Look at this though. Somewhere through the fog you can see Craig Cockrell and Michael Seal having a bit of a battle. They might try and make it 3 wide with Fiona Siddons. In fact, they will make it 3 wide with Fiona Siddons into the braking zone. Look at this. The track conditions might not be the best, but the racing is certainly top notch at the start of this race, as we see Craig Cockrell take the position. Michael Seal up into 3rd. Fiona Siddons losing out on the exit and could be losing out on more positions, as James Clark and Ryan Main have a bit of a battle through the final corner. Still side by side, but I think the speed coming out of it is definitely the difference maker for James Clark as they make their way through into turn 1, just about slotting into single file.
Indeed, Douglas Stewart has had another off, I think. It was a lot of action at the start. Lots of things were happening. I don't think we're going to quite get a chance to have a replay in. Oh, there's another big one. Fiona Siddons has gone off. I believe they're going to go 4 wide, what looks like going down the hill. Oh my goodness, how is it going to pan out here? Andy McEwen's at the front of this train, along with Luke Cooper as well, and then just behind, Ben Sharp having to take evasive action for James Clark as well. Sam Smith is only just up ahead. Meanwhile, Michael Seals had an off as well. I wonder if he's just caught the curb on the outside or possibly caught the gravel. That would be my first guess. You can see him there, a car looking a bit battered and bruised. This is really shaking things up for everyone here. Ryan Mays just had a look up the inside of Linscombe Hatfield, and that is now a position gained. And I wonder, is Nick Clibbins going to try and have a go? Bear in mind, he won the last race, so he's got some good pace at the moment. He's now back up into P11, as we can see just there. He is, but it's going to be a drag race between himself and Linscombe Hatfield. At the moment, though, up front as well, Ben Sharp has now made, he is making moves. Ben Sharp is P8. He wants another podium, doesn't he, with the final 2 races to go. And he's actually going to be left with Sam Smith and Luke Cooper battling up ahead for position. Can Ben Sharp slot up the inside? This camera angle looks to be pretty useless at the moment because of the fog. And Ben Sharp still managing, not able to make any more positions up, but just biding his time. There's a long way to go. Sam Smith, though, and Jason Cooper going to go side by side down into the last couple of corners for the second lap. Andy McEwen, though, is all on his lonesome up front. Half a second clear of Cooper at this moment in time. Let's have a look at what happened with Fiona Siddons. So this is the incident. Through up into turns 2, 3, and 4. Is it possibly just a little bit too heavy on the brakes? Oh, a tap there. Who was that from?
That might have been, I'll just try and find out. That was Craig McDonald, the 85, that just far too late on the brakes, colliding with Fiona Siddons, sending her nearly skyward there up at the crest of turn 3. And Michael Seal looping the car around, plume of smoke as if it wasn't hard to see already through the fog. Michael losing out there and having to be very careful with how he rejoins the racing action. As I think I had another slide in the background, and was this it from Julian Schreier? Oh, an almost carbon copy. There's a spin in sympathy from Glenn Humberston.
I mean, it's just, that really took its toll, didn't it? That really, really took its toll. Both, pretty much, everyone, so many people getting caught up in these incidents. Whether it's the change, I imagine as well, if we have a look at the weather, the actual track temp will be a lot cooler as well, so that could be taking a little bit more time for the tyres to warm up and get up to the optimum temperature. That's always going to be a thing to always watch out for, tyre temps. And I think that's what we were seeing there, is just people getting a little bit caught out by these changing track temperature. Obviously, that's what caused some of those spins, or at least possibly one or two of them. Anyway, Sam Smith is still having to defend quite aggressively from Ben Sharp. And Ben Sharp, he's got a very good run, though. He's got a very good run. Is it going to be? He goes to the inside to try and make the move. Can he make it stick? He might very well do. We know how much grip is on the outside, but not at the moment. Sam Smith has to concede. I think Ben Sharp was running him out and hanging him out to dry then, but Sam Smith carries good momentum. Can't quite keep it, though, because he loses a position to Ben Sharp. Might lose a position to James Clark, although I would say this is a one-liner down this section, this complex. But as we have seen, Arthur Panzel thinks that that is not the case. But at the moment, everyone else seems to think so. Arthur Panzel has actually just made a move up the inside, I believe, of Craig Cockrell for P2. And I think I know why. It's because Craig Cockrell has had a moment. Ooh,
a big moment. That's a little bit more than a moment, isn't it? That's an entire episode going over the curve there and then having to cut the corner. That will be a hefty slowdown. We come back now to live pictures of Nick Clibbins battling very, very closely with himself and Ryan Main as they make their way over this back straight. And he's actually getting a help along, isn't he? Clibbins from his teammate Liam Stimpson, who's going to try and push him all the way down, bump drafting into the braking zone. But this is where things could all go wrong, is when they have to try and slow the cars back down again. That really helped out Nick Clibbins there, wasn't he? He looked like to be losing out almost against the 66, but help from his teammate allowed him to hold on for the moment to that top 10 spot. Just look at the cars though in the fog. It's a sight that I haven't really seen before on iRacing. A very, very dim and dreary evening for racing, but the racing itself is anything but, as we come to yet another fight here. This is going to be between Ashley Stimps, another Simtech racing car, this time against Michael Seal.
I was about to say there's battle all over this. We actually, you know what, there's another big battle over here between Ryan Main, Liam Stimson, James Neve, Craig McDonald, Douglas Stewart, all in a big, big train here. And I wonder if that's going to be well, I mean, how close everyone is. Oh, this is very, very close. I don't realistically know. I mean, everyone's got to be nice and careful here. They've got to be controlled, because if they push too hard, as we have seen, even with these tyres now that are up to temperature, moves and mistakes can happen. As I say that, almost commentator's curse. Ryan Main taking a very interesting line going through turn 6, and then an even more interesting line going through turn 7. That's going to cost him possibly 4 positions. Exactly what I just said there. Andy McEwen's out, though. What's happened to Andy McEwen?
Oh my word, what has happened to Andy McEwen? I don't think there anything else. I think that was just a bit of blinkage, and he's now back up and running. Yeah, that would have been very worrying to see him come out. But look at this, Ben Sharp sending it down the inside of Luke Cooper. What a move that was, committed on the brakes, made the corner beautifully, and now will be able to set his sights on the aforementioned Andy and try and get up into the top 5 places.
Yes, he will, absolutely. But can he make it stick? This is the key thing. Up into P6, like I said, you've got a second away from P5. You know that good pace is on hand. But realistically, the only thing now is to see the consistency of what Ben Sharp is able to produce. Sam Smith's actually just got past Luke Cooper, but we can see there. So that's another position, I believe, that has been made. So Sam Smith, again, making up for lost time, what he's been having for the last, not had the best of luck for the first race, and he's definitely making it up.
Oh my word!
There. Whoa! Oh my goodness! How has he managed to keep that in a straight line? Has he got steering damage though? I wonder if he's got steering damage.
I think he gave it a bit of a wiggle just to test if there was. I don't think it looks too bad. Look, the car is getting a little bit twitchy. I think that's just down to the tyres being a little bit popping up, but coming out on the straight. Look, the wheel is, well, just about as straight as well, isn't it? Nice and easy on board. We can see it's not too difficult for him to control. So That tells us that the speed should be all right for him. Just a very scary moment for Sam Smith, absolutely launching it over the exit curve. A slight kiss of the barrier on the exit, but nothing too dangerous, as Andy McEwen has actually just now gotten ahead of Duncan Cope. We missed that. Hopefully we can see a replay of the move for fourth place.
Indeed we can. Let's have a look at it. It's going to be down a drag race coming into the last couple of corners. I think it's going to be an Andy McEwen round the outside. Actually, do you know what? No, I believe it was, because Duncan Cope just backed out of it, was sensible, allowed the racing to happen, and then off he goes.
Fastest lap of the race, actually, as well. Just got by. Oh, what a word. We'll put a pin in that thought, as we just see. Was that Craig McDonald with a big spin off of the exit? It was. It just tapped the wall, though, so it doesn't look like there's too much damage. And old Liam Stimpson's just been tapped by the smallest amounts by Douglas Stewart. Well, I don't think, is he actually, oh, he does lose out on a position to Ryan Main. That was a very, very light tap up the rear, but a tap nonetheless that saw the car spinning around. These four drivers all battling for position as well. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, though, the fact that Ben Sharp is trying to close in on Andy McEwen. But last time by, Andy McEwen did just do the fastest lap of the race thus far with a 1:34.8, which is a lot faster as well than anything we saw in qualifying. So the track is definitely getting cooler. Drivers getting faster.
Drivers absolutely getting faster, and I'm sure it's something they're going to continue to get faster as well. So I think realistically, well, actually, do you know what? I'm intrigued, because as the fuel burns off, obviously that's where they're going to gain some time. That's where they're going to gain pace. And we'll see this just consistently getting faster and faster over the course of a lap. Luke Cooper, though, versus James Clark versus Sam Smith. Who is going to be the person that comes out on top? And I think it's going to be, again, looking through the FOD. Sam Smith tries to go around the outside, but it's still Luke Cooper for the moment that stays ahead in P7. But for how long, though? Because this is a very, very tall order to keep up with. Because you've got, let's say, Sam Smith, who's actually just got past... sorry, no, apologies. Yeah, you've got James Clark, then Sam Smith, and then Nick Clibbens, all behind Luke Cooper. And we know that all of them have pace. So Luke Cooper's going to have a very, very tough time to keep all of these three at bay. But as long as he puts the car in the right position, he'll be absolutely fine. It's controlled. You don't want to push the car too much again in this scenario. There's no point. No point pushing the car here, because ultimately, if that is the case, you will then lose out.
Yeah, like you say, be very nice and stable, as Ryan Main is trying to find a way through on Liam Stimpson. Now these two have just swapped positions, and they'll probably swap again before too long, as on account of just how strong the slipstream is, how much you can gain. Look at the exit, though, coming through turn 6. Ryan Main on an absolute charge there. Really good runners. Actually, that was Liam Stimpson having to slow down. I wondered if that was the case coming over through turn 3 as he cut the course a little bit. And he had to give up not one but 2 places in giving back that time. So really unfortunate for Liam Stimpson losing out that way, but he has been showing how quick he is. He might be able to make these places up before the end of the race yet. Look at, though, the advantage that Jason Cooper has been able to build up over the course of this race. 5 seconds clear of the rest of the field, as James Clark is going to look for a way through if he can. Onto the brakes nice and hard, trying to find a way through, but Sam Smith once again aiming to get the good run out, but doesn't seem to work for him. So he's going to slot in behind, still in the top 10 places, but look at that camera shot. The car's nearly going over the top of us through the final corner there. Gives you a sense of the speed that these cars actually do carry. They might not look it, but they are very quick and nippy bits of kit. As well, actually, Arthur Panzel could be getting a close fight between himself, Craig Cockrell, Andy McEwen, and Ben Sharp before too long, because look at how close it's all getting there. Up for, well, the podium places all the way down into 5th. Oh, my word, as I say that, we come to see them side by side through the S's.
Taking a leaf out of Arthur Panzel's book there, but no, I mean, again, brave moves, brave stuff, but great to see, as always, Andy McEwen. He's going to be left hung out to dry, possibly from Ben Sharp, who wants that second podium of his first round back. Craig Cockrell's now going to go up the inside. Oh, Ben Sharp's going to have a look for a position. Doesn't quite make it stick, though, but now he's got all of the race. He's got the rest of this straight to carry that momentum down. Possibly might even get, I mean, he's going to have to be very, very savvy with it, but you might get Andy McEwen, possibly even Craig Cockrell. He's going to have to put the car in the right place, because if he doesn't, it could go very horribly wrong. But side by side between McEwen and Cockrell. I reckon Ben Sharp's going to give it a go through. There he goes on the inside. Oh, runs on the grass. Oh, my goodness. Is he going to do both of them? Oh, my goodness. Is it going to be done? Ben Sharp. Oh, my goodness. I will take that as a call. But Andy McEwen's gone straight back on him. But Ben Sharp now loses out on one position. I mean, to be fair, still managing one position out of those two was fantastic stuff.
Wow, oh wow, oh wow. What a move that was right at the end there. Ben Sharp trying to take both of them on, but could only settle for one. As well, there's a little bit of a tap there. As you saw Ben Sharp go to the inside, unsettling the rear of Andy McEwen's car. He wasn't able to carry the speed around the outside either, but now we have got the white flag being waved. Is Ben Sharp in the place that you don't necessarily want to be, because he will be having to lead all of these drivers down that long back straight coming into that final chicane. Maybe Ben Sharp could lose out here on third place. Just yet we'll be able to see, though, the white flag has been waved, and, well, Jason Cooper at the front, 6 seconds his advantage to the rest. This has been an absolute champion's drive, and as he will inevitably cross the line in first place, that will be the championship sealed up for this man. It's been a hard-fought campaign in the early stages, having to deal with the likes of Ben Sharp, but Ben, real-life commitments came in the way, and he wasn't able to have a long-standing charge. So then the buck fell to Andy McEwen, who again put up some great fights, but just wasn't able to match the pace of Jason Cooper. We'll be able to see what Andy McEwen can do onto the brakes into the final corner. We're able to see a little bit of it, though. We'll be able to see the first move maybe onto the brakes as Jason Cooper will round out through the final corner. Andy McEwen seems to be able to take third place here. Ben Sharp will fight him, but we'll come to Jason Cooper now as he crosses the line and is crowned the BSR Tegiwa Trophy champion. Very hard fought. You can see how much that means to him. He's swinging the rear out across the line. What a drive from him. He's had many drives like this throughout the season that have meant that he is now crowned officially the BSR Tegiwa Trophy champion. What a drive from Jason it has been. A drive that we've seen all season long, isn't it, Dan?
Oh, it has been indeed. Fair play, fair play. Cannot argue with some of the racing that we have seen. Oh, absolutely fantastic. And we are going to be treated to one more race as well this evening, which is always fantastic stuff. I mean, yeah, realistically, it's something that you can't really, you just can't argue with. It's just Jason Cooper has been relentless. Andy McEwen, though, gave a very, very good run for his money. Just a few bits of bad luck has obviously cost, and that has, gapped a little bit in a couple of rounds unable to attend. But again, I mean, all in all, there were multiple people that would to be deserving in one way, shape or form for the championship, but Jason Cooper definitely one of them. Just raw pace, absolutely relentless, and pulled off some fantastic, last to first races that we've seen throughout this series as well. I just can't believe it's all ended so quickly, to be fair. Like the last couple of, we're in the last 2 rounds. I genuinely can't believe it.
Yeah, he's been really, really relentless in his pursuit of the top prize, winning the Pro Class Championship and the overall championship here in this third of 4 races here for the second to last round of the championship. But we do still have 1 race to go, so that means we will have to get up the reverse grid spinning wheel, find out who will be starting on pole position for the 4th and final race of the evening.
Indeed, let us see what it is going to be as we spin the wheel. We have made some adjustments on the actual positionings, but still, apparently, a full reverse grid because we haven't got 34 cars. So there we go.
34 reverse grid. Even if that was a 24, I think we'd still be getting a full. So that means we'll be able to run you through the finishing order and tell you who is on reverse grid pole position.
We will do indeed. So, apologies. Let's just get the spinning wheel out of the way. So, Jason Cooper, again, taking that race win and wrapping up the champion as well. Fantastic stuff from Cooper. Arthur Panzel, P2 with Ben Sharp in P3. Andy McEwen, P4. Craig Cockrell in P5 with Duncan Coate, P6. Luke Cooper, 7th with James Clark in P8. Sam Smith, P9 with Nick Clibbins rounding out the top 10. James Neve in P11 with Liam Simpson, P12. Douglas Stewart, 13th. Ryan Main in P14, Ashley Simpson 15th, Colin Sanson in 16th, Julian Schroer 17th, and Glenda Humberstone rounding out P18. In the final few cars, Craig McDonald was managing P19, Michael Seal a lap down in P20, and I believe that is who will be taking a reverse grid pole position.
Yes, that seems to be a very good coup for Michael Seal. Will be starting fourth and final race on reverse grid pole position. Don't seem to be able to have... Oh, yes, we do, actually. I was going to say, can we have a word with our championship victor? And you know what? We can. So let us bring in Jason Cooper. After what has been a hard-fought championship campaign, we can now officially crown you, Jason, as the VSR Tegiwa MX5 Trophy champion.
Yay! Yeah, cheers guys. We had a really good season. Just like to thank everyone for all the hard work that goes in behind the scenes to make it all happen, and obviously everyone I race against every week. Had some really good racing with a lot of you, so thank you.
It was a hard-fought campaign, of course. There were some moments where obviously you had some thrills, a few spills, but a race like that really is a great way to seal off, just showing your domination of this championship, isn't it?
I prefer to be racing other people, to be honest. Driving off at a distance in that fun.
Well,
yeah, in that first race, Sam definitely made me work for it on the last couple of laps. It's a shame we had a bit of contact on the last chicane, both fighting for the same bit of tarmac.
Well, maybe next season we'll have to put a bit of ballast in your car. Maybe slow you down a bit so all the others can keep up with you.
Yeah, I'm chasing 100 wins on Tuesdays, so I'm getting quite close now.
Oh, I'm funny enough as the stats man. I don't have access to that. How many are we on at the moment after that one, Jason?
94.
94.
Yeah,
so
Tuesday wins.
Won't be able to seal it out at the end of this season.
No,
but for the
just
next.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, that was.
I'll have to come back when I.
You'll have to come back, won't you, and try and defend your crown, because I'm sure Ben Sharp and all the others will be trying to fight you through for that and seeing what they can manage. But again, excellent drive from you. The amount of pole positions or race victories you've racked up this season has been very, very impressive, to say the least. But like I said, you've thanked people already. Is there any others that you would like to give a shout out or thanks to?
My fiance, who we get married in a couple of weeks. Thank you for letting me go on every Tuesday. She's swearing at me in the background now.
Well, I'm sure she's very glad to be able to share this celebration with you and be able to let you have a nice race victory as well. And we'll be able to see if you can do it again, because we do have a full reverse grid on the cards. What do you think you can do there?
Oh, exciting. Got to come from the back. Yeah. So here we go.
Well, thank you very much, Jason. And another thing as well, Jason, we obviously been able to wrap up the championship with a round to go. Are we going to see maybe a difference in your livery, perhaps a bit of gold on the car?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I might have to do that, yeah. I'll have a go.
Well, there we go, Jason. Thank you very much. Congratulations on your race victory and on securing the VSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy.
Cheers, guys. Speak to you later.
So that was Jason Cooper. Very, very happy, of course, after sealing the championship. And we don't have time after the race necessarily to have as many interviews as we would like. We do have to go very quickly. We will be able to have a short chat with this man, Andy McEwen. That was a close fight between yourself and Ben Sharp. Well, for most of the evenings. And again, I think Ben Sharp just getting the better of you in the final few moments.
Do you know, me and Ben are going to fall out at this rate, because that's at least 3 podiums he owes me now that he's stolen at the last corner. He did it to me twice at Monza, then he disappeared for half a season. He's come back and he's done the same thing again. I'm not happy.
Oh, well, maybe you'll be glad to know that Ben Sharp's real-life commitments that might keep him busy a bit next season. You'll never know. And, of course, I think he'll be sealed down, maybe if you have another good few races like this, as second place, and, of course, Pro-Am Championship. I'm having a look at the maths, and I think, maybe not at the end of tonight, but it could be very close to you sealing out the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, which is crazy, really, isn't it? I mean, if you look back at the start of the season, even I was a good second a lap slower than some of even the front-running Pro-Ams, so I don't really know what's going on. But yeah, really happy, actually. That was probably the best race of the season for me. I really enjoyed that. It was a great battle between me and Craig and Ben, but all the time in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about that Pro-Am championship. It would almost be easier if I wasn't fighting for the championship, because I could just go for it then. But yeah, happy to have come out with, I think that's 2 class wins now, and yeah, I haven't crashed yet, so that's something.
That's something, but there's still one race to go, full reverse. We could still see you in the tyre barriers at some stage tonight.
Almost certainly, almost certainly. I can't remember the last time I had 4 clean races, so I know I had that little run-in with Sam Smith in race 1, but that was just a racing incident. Well, yeah, something's bound to go wrong now, isn't it? I'm sure. I don't know whether you'll be able to see it, though, if it's as dark as it was in that last race. I don't know what was going on with the weather.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on with the weather there, and I hope that the next race is nice and clear blue skies, but you never know, do we? It's, I think, a little bit of an interesting dynamic. I'm not sure what your opinion is of this, the sort of session state and the weather changing between each of the races. As a driver, what does that do for you?
It's actually really strange, because you lose a lot of your references, obviously, as it gets dark. I've just loaded into the next session, actually, and it's not quite dark, but it's definitely sort of sunset, so that, you know, you'll have headlights on, and that's different when all you can see in your mirror is a blanket of headlights. You know, you've no idea who's who. But the main thing tonight has just been the track temperature. That second race, it was so much hotter than the other two, and I just had no grip. And the car was about 5 miles an hour slower down the straights because of it. It's amazing what a difference the temperature makes. So yeah, now it's sunset, should be nice and cool, nice and grippy, and yeah, a couple of extra horsepower hopefully.
Yeah, and of course, you're going to be starting towards the back, but you have shown good ability to come through the field in recent races. So you're going to have as much hope in this one?
I'd love to say it was skill. It's complete pot luck. You just sort of close your eyes and hope for the best. I don't really know how I've escaped the carnage so far tonight, but that first sequence of corners on lap 1, it's a real lottery. So yeah, if I can get through them in one piece, then maybe there's a chance of another podium.
Well, we'll be able to see if another podium will be on the cards. Andy, thank you very much for having a chat with us. We'll let you get on to practicing for the next race. As he exits the comms box, we will have to go to a short break, then move into the next session with the 4th and final race still to come. So stay tuned to Absolute Sim Racing. It will be coming up very shortly. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Absolute Sim Race. You can see now the lights are on the cars. We're about to go racing here, but we'll run you through the order very quickly. Michael Seal on pole position with Craig McDonald alongside him in second place. Glenn Humberston third, Julian Schroer fourth, Colin Sansom, Ashley Simpson, Ryan Main, Douglas Stewart, Liam Simpson, and James Neve round out your top 10. Nick Clibbins 11th, Sam Smith 12th. 13th, we'll see James Clark ahead of Luke Cooper, Craig Cockrell, Andy McEwen, Ben Sharp, Arthur Panzel, Jason Cooper, Linscombe Hatford, Mark Oliver, and Fiona Siddons running out the field. And well, you might say there's only 22 cars on the grid. That's still a fairly good turnout. Lots of cars, lots of action still to come in this fourth and final race that gets underway with a good start from Michael Seal and Craig McDonald off the line. I think Michael will lead all of them into the first corner, which he does, but you can see McDonald looking for a move. Michael Seal having to go well, very wide and afford some space as well. You can see that Craig McDonald took a lot of speed into the corner, unfortunately overshot it onto the exit, having to go onto the grass as there's a spinner, I think, up at the top of the hill there.
That's Ben Sharp.
Not entirely sure who that was. That was Ben Sharp, apparently. Having a moment, having a spin, cold tyres, cold trackers. Oh, Michael Seal getting very loose, losing out. There's another car off in the background. That, I think, was actually Stimpson as Andy McEwen joins him right behind there. So several cars all feeling the effects of a cool and slippery track. Oh my word, lots of drama here. Lots of drama in the early phases that have seen Ryan Main all of a sudden into the lead of the race with Julian Schroer for company, trying to find a good exit, a good drive out of the corner. Liam Stimpson might fancy a race victory as well, because he's just going to have his nose ahead at this moment in time. Side by side, drag racing down into the chicane. Been a very mad and manic opening few laps, I think, isn't this, Dan? There's been a lot of action up at the front, down at the back. Everywhere there could be action, there has been. And Liam Stimpson will actually find himself now hard onto the brakes, into the lead of the race now. Already up 8 positions is Liam Stimpson, as there's a big slide from Ryan Main. He's going to lose out on so many positions, as does Julian Schroer. All of a sudden, Michael Seal finds himself back up into second place. And Craig McDonald, after that mistake, into the first corner where we thought, oh, it was all over for him. He's still in third.
I know, what an absolutely manic start to this final round. Absolutely mental. One of Liam Stimpson's had a bit of a moment, though. Where's Liam Stimpson? There he is, just gone off on the circuit. So, unfortunately, his race has gone from really, really good to really, really bad. And he's now down all the way. Here he's just dropping down the order. He's dropping down further and further. Big, big shame. Colin Sampson, Julian Schroer, Jason Cooper all getting involved into this little battle here as well. Arthur Panzel's getting involved as well. He's just behind this little train as well. It's actually being led by Colin Sampson with Jason Cooper behind. And then Julian Schroer. Ryan Main's had a moment that, oh my goodness, how on earth? That was Nick Clibbins, actually. I wonder if there was a bit of contact, possibly. I mean, how everyone avoided that, I don't know. Arthur Panzel's going to go up the inside into turn 6. That was a brave move indeed. Manages to get it stopped. Arthur Panzel, Jason Cooper's going to try and send it up the inside as well. So Colin Sampson's lost a couple of positions. Ryan Main is just behind. He's going to be able to pull some pace down. But Jason Cooper and Colin Sampson are going to go side by side. And do you know what? Arthur Panzel was giving Colin Sampson the toe at the moment. And you can see it's now starting to work. There's the position back on the left-hand side. And Jason Cooper is going to have to possibly concede a position. But what is happening here? Because Ryan Main's going to try and go around the outside. Oh my goodness. No, Jason Cooper's late on the brakes. Very late on the brakes, in fact. And manages to slot up into P8. Colin Sansom has to lose out both to Cooper and Ryan Main as well. What's happening though with Michael Seal? Because Michael Seal and Sam Smith are going to go... Oh, wow. That was close. You just saw it on the delta there. Oh.
Ever so close, wasn't it, between the pair of them? I want to see, though, as we see the cars now coming up through the S's where you can't often make many moves. If we can, Dan, have a look at what happened in the early stage of the race where so many cars went off. I know Andy McEwen was one of them, Ben Sharp as well. Going to see Nick Clibbins here have a moment coming out of turn 6, just looping the car all the way around off of the exit, trying to get nice and out of the way to allow all the other cars through. This is what happened with Glenn Humberston. Oh, with contact with Mark Oliver, his teammate. That's the one thing you never want to do, is make contact with your teammate. Andy McEwen there, very battered and bruised car there. can see him coming to the pits. Not sure what caused the damage. There was a coming together there after the fact between himself and the 888 of Ashley Stimpson. But I think part of me thinks that happened a little bit earlier. And he just loses the rear of the car all by himself. And we did have an interview with Andy where we said, jokingly, I said, we could still see you in the wall just yet before the end of the evening. I didn't exactly mean it, Andy.
I can imagine neither did he. Craig McDonald just going to interrupt ourselves. Craig McDonald's going to go round the outside. Of Michael Sitley bumps the curb, though. That's going to cost him a position. He actually pushes Sam Smith off in the process. James Clark has now got up the inside of all of them. And James Clark now finds himself up into second position. So Michael Sitley just jumped over the curb. Couldn't really do much about it, unfortunately. But Sam Smith did lose out quite considerably more. He might even lose out to Julian Schroer, who's going to possibly make a move up the inside of turn 1. Decides against it, though. Jason Cooper just behind. Can he make this a last of first? He's already in P7, bear in mind. He's got 10 minutes left. And it's relatively close. It's really close, in fact. Craig McDonald's only about 4 or 5 seconds. Actually, he's not even 4 or 5 seconds up the road. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. He's only about 2 seconds up the road. That's the positions gain that you can see there. And here is the gaps coming up. So to Jason Cooper, look at that. 2 seconds. That is all. So basically, nothing compared to these guys. This is absolutely no gap at all. And Jason Cooper, we know how much pace he's got, and I'm sure he's going to want to round this out in style.
Yeah, he certainly will, and that'll be a great way to do exactly that. He's been newly crowned champion. He wants a race victory to add to the accolades he's already received thus far this season. We have said coming into this that he's gone very well around Road Atlanta, and he's certainly on form here, trying to find his way through past Julian Schroer. He'll be close enough coming into the chicane to make a lunge should he want to. The gap now coming underneath a 1/10 of a second. He's going to dart to the inside and try and brake late enough, but not so to make the move stick. Instead, look for the exit there as he forces Julian to go very deep. James Clark having a moment, losing out a lot, dropping down through the order as well. Look at this close fight at the front, though. So many cars all within a 1/10 of a second. Nose to tail forming one long big MX5 as they made their way through the first corner. Julian Schroer just about able to hold off and maybe allow Arthur Panzel to have a little bit of a look, but no, Arthur can't find a way through ahead of Jason Cooper. So Jason slots in behind, tries to find a way through down the S's as well. His car looks really nailed down. He's got a very good handle on the car, does Jason, and on Julian. You can see how much he's coming closer. This is now coming into turn 7 and 8. He's going to have a slight overlap. Going to try and send it into the corner. Is he brave enough? Well, this is Jason Cooper. Of course he's brave enough. He takes 3rd place and can now set his sights on his teammate and brother. And I'm not sure if this is going to be fought too hard, you know.
Well, it might be not. It's going to be intriguing, isn't it? Because I wonder if there's going to be, now that we know that Cooper's got the, I'd say Jason Cooper's got the championship wrapped in the bag, I wonder if there's going to be a bit more battling between the two here. We'll have to wait and see. But Arthur Panzel, though, is going to be possibly coming down and making a move on his teammate. This might not be contested all that much, though. We'll have to see. And no, it actually, do you know what it is? I thought Julian Schroer was going to try and go on the outside, but no, decides against it. So for the moment, then, Arthur Panzel making up another position up into P4. Jason Cooper, he secured a final podium at this moment in time. Still a long way to go, though. You know, you've got 7 minutes left. Anything can happen in those 7 minutes, bear in mind. Just got to make sure that he sticks and keeps it controlled. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that with Jason Cooper. We know that he's got pace. We know that he's got a very, very good amount of car control and stability. Just needs to keep it there, keep it sorted, and he will be at least with a podium. Further down the order, though, we've still got battling. Look at this. Nick Clibbins, Ashley Stimpson, Douglas Stewart. So Clibbins obviously trying to recover from that early incident. Didn't actually make any position. That is the key thing here as well. He didn't gain any damage. I think that's the key thing there. Didn't gain any damage at all. But manages to just trying to make some positions back.
Yeah, so he's going to try and find his way through, see what can be done. If there's any fortunes for him at this moment in time. He's going to look Douglas Stewart actually to the inside of Ashley Stimpson. doing what we just saw Jason Cooper do, coming down the inside, but very well fought around the outside by Ashley, who's able to hold on to the position for the moment. We'll then try and look to come through and try and find the slipstream down this back straight into the heavy braking zone of that final chicane. He can really make or break, as we see Luke Cooper actually swapping places with Arthur Panzel, Colin Sansom getting ahead of Ryan Main, and now Douglas Stewart trying to get ahead of Ashley Stimpson. The inside line will be there for the 777, and he's going to be nice and committed. Will he be on the brakes, carving it into the corner? And oh, is that a slight overshot over the corner? Yes, it was. Ashley Stimpson doing very well to keep off the grass. Does lose out though, unfortunately, as Jason Cooper is now actually ahead of his brother Luke. So what has happened there for the battle for second place?
Well, let's see if we can find a replay of that. I wonder, it's going to be relatively recently, because we haven't been off them very long. And here it is coming through. Is it going to be, yes, up the inside does Jason Cooper go. No real contestant here, I don't think. No, we see them backing out. A little bit contested there from Jason Cooper. I can imagine what he was trying to do is making sure that he didn't lose out on another position to Arthur Panzer, which could have all happened though. So manages to keep it all in check, which is good, and manages to continue running along in P3. I wonder if we could have a Cooper double podium. That could very well be a possibility.
Yeah, so we'll be able to see what will happen here. Plenty of time still to go in this race. 4 minutes. Royal drives up at the front to change position, and also 4 minutes for Craig Cockrell to see if he's either going to make a place on Ryan Main or lose one to Liam Stimpson, who's looking very, very racy in his rear view mirrors. What an evens racing, though, to be fair. This track has always been brilliant, hasn't it? And I've commentated on BSR numerous times here at Road Atlanta, both of the season openers, season finishes, and midway through the season as well. And each time it's been just as exciting as the last. We have also lost a few drivers. The numbers haven't been as great as they have been all season, but you wouldn't believe it, would you, from the action we've seen? It feels like there's about 50 cars rather than just 20.
Well, this is the thing, is people denote good racing with big grids. Not necessarily the case at all. Close drivers and people that are close in terms of pace, that's what gives you good grid. That's what gives you good racing. You know, you could have a group of 3 or 4, you could have a grid of 10 drivers, but if they're all absolutely if they're just, nip and tuck for the entire race length, it doesn't matter. You've got to have good racing with close drivers, and that's exactly what we've got here, which is great because it gives us such a good opportunity to watch some incredible racing. And we see the same drivers getting involved. We see new drivers getting involved as well. This is what I like about this series as well, is there's no, everyone is respectful. Yes, there are some incidents, but that is always going to be the case. As what is that? I think that was Ryan Main going up the inside. It was indeed Ryan Main going up the inside of Colin Sansom, but Colin Sansom not backing out too much. But yeah, everyone just gets involved, and that's what I love about it. That's what I absolutely love about it. Jason Cooper going to go for the potential podium. Well, he's going to go for the top 7 at the moment. He's done it. Sam Smith defended it a little bit, but Jason Cooper's so good on the brakes.
Yeah, very good. That from Jason Cooper, able to get himself up into the lead of the race now. As look at this. What a move that was down the inside by Colin Sansom. Oh, but he gets it all wrong at the second corner. Loses out of Ryan Main, is able to capitalise, as does Liam Stimpson, who's going to find himself carving his way through up into 6th place. Still leading, of course, the AM race. Colin Sansom and Michael Linscombe Hatfield a little bit further back now. How close, though. Sam Smith has gotten to Jason Cooper up ahead. I thought there was going to be a change position, but they keep themselves nice and steady as we now see Liam Stimpson, Craig Cockrell and Ryan Main, the order coming up at the crest of turn 3 as they make their way down through the S's. Look at that, the headlights blaring, the sun setting. What a great view. As Ryan Main now looks to try and make any places possible, see if there's any moves in the offing, as look at that. Oh, Craig Cockrell down the inside of Liam Stimpson. He's going to still keep it side by side coming through turn 8. That's going to hamper both of their exits, and that could give the driver the run in favour of Ryan Main here.
It could do indeed. Apologies, I was having to tend to my very new kitten who was having a bit of the zoomies, so hence why I wasn't able to just come back. But we're back now and ready to go. Ryan Main, he's going to get the run. I wonder if he's going to make possibly one or two positions. Colin Sampson's actually just got... Actually, no, it's not right. Colin Sampson's going to make possibly the run. Linscombe Hatfield's very, very close. I wonder what's going to happen up ahead, because I think it's going to be Craig Cockrell still managing to maintain. Liam Simpson, though, very, very close. He's got a bit of damage, though. Keep an eye out for that. Michael Linscombe Hatfield's just gone possibly up the inside. He's instigated the move. Can he make it stick? He might very well be able to. And I think, do you know what? He has done it. Yes. Michael Linscombe Hatfield. No, apologies. No, Michael Linscombe Hatfield. I thought he was going to make a move on Ryan Main. No, turns out Nick Clemens is going to make a move on Linscombe Hatfield. So Nick Clemens coming back through the order. A good recovery, I've noticed as well, from Linscombe Hatfield. Very good recovery indeed.
Yeah, good stuff from Linscombe Hatfield here. Could be a great result from him in his championship hopes, considering I think nearest rival Fiona Siddons is out of this last race. So Linscombe Hatfield is looking very, very good for a cracking result here. Just having a look as well what Sam Smith is doing, because this result will really play into his hands in the AM Championship. He'll be able to close up so many points if he's able to get ahead of Jason Cooper. With Andy McEwen not finishing this race, he'll be able to close up 100 points, and that could really close down the margins into this final race of the season. Look at that, Sam Smith. What a move that is if he's able to pull it off against Jason Cooper. Oh my word, he has, that is cracking stuff.
Look at Arthur Panzel. Look at Arthur Panzel, though.
Word,
I think Arthur Panzel's going to do it.
3 wide through the final quarter. Jason Cooper forced wide. The checkered flag has been waved, and who's come through? Who was it? It was Arthur Panzel. Jason Cooper somehow had second place across the line off the grass. Wow, what on earth? We need to... we've got to have a look at that. That is definitely one for the BSR and ASR socials. That was an amazing into the race.
It was definitely an eventful one, wasn't it? I mean... That was an eventful end to that race. Oh my goodness. And let's get the replay of that as we go. But first off, we're just going to wait for the results to come through. But while we are waiting for the results, let's go and get a... apologies if you can hear some rustling in the background. But yeah, let's see if we can get the results up. But let's have a quick look at the replays first. Because we need to break that down, don't we, I think?
Yeah, I think a little bit of a breakdown of what's going on here would be very good, just to make sense of it all, because that was a very exciting finish to the end of the race, I think, to say the least. I'm just having a look here. Yeah, we're going to be... hopefully we can get the finishing replay up on your screens. We'll adjust it all, because I know, Dan, you've got a very rambunctious and excitable kitten to tend to. So let's have a look at this. So Jason Cooper trying to send it into the corner. He's going to see if there's a way around the outside, but there's a bit of contact between himself and Sam Smith, and that opens the door massively for Arthur Panzel. And now this is Arthur's chance to really shine. He's going to take the inside line. And then Sam Smith in the middle doesn't really have many options available to him. So he's going to try and send it into the corner. Good run around the outside there by Jason Cooper, carrying a lot of speed. The line comes up very quickly after the final corner. A little bit of contact sends Jason Cooper off onto the grass, but he just about has a nose in front. As they cross the timing beam, you can see that Luke Cooper's trying to get in onto the action. Wasn't able to get into the podium places, finishes in 4th. And of course, all the contact happens after the cross the line, but that was still an exciting way to round out the race. Look at that. Arthur Panzel, race victor, ahead of Jason Cooper. What an end to the race there from him, able to finish in 2nd off the track. Sam Smith in 3rd, Luke Cooper 4th, and Julian Schreier rounds out the top 5. 5/10, half a second off of the eventual leader. That just shows how close that finishing was. The half a second between all of the finishers from first down into fifth. Then we have a bit of a margin. I say a bit of a margin. 14.6 seconds to Craig Cockrell in sixth place, ahead of class victor Liam Stimpson. Brian Main in eighth, ahead of Nick Clibbins, Colin Sansom, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, Ashley Stimpson, Douglas Stewart, Ben Humberston, Mark Oliver, James Neve, James Clark, and Michael Seal. Actually, James Clark and Michael Seal, two non-finishers there. And there are a few more non-finishers to run through, unfortunately. To tell you that the likes of, I believe that was Craig McDonald, James, actually we've had James Clark already read. I think that was actually Craig McDonald, Andy McEwen, Fiona Sims, and Ben Sharp, who were all classified as non-finishers. That confirmation there on your screens. Wow, what an evening's racing. We've crowned a champion in Jason Cooper, but we still have one more evening's racing to go in a week's time. The cars will, I believe, make their way to Mosport for the season finale. What a race that was. Unfortunately, Arthur Panzer has just sent me a message saying that he's too shaky for any kind of reasonable conversation, so we can, I think, forgive him that, can't we, Dan, after that amazing finish where he was just able to snatch the race victory right at the death. But of course, a championship still needs to be decided. Both the Pro-Am and the Am championships still to be sorted out. Sam Smith and Andy McEwen will duke it out in the final round of the season, as well will Fiona Siddons and Michael Linscombe Hatfield for the AMs. So Dan, I think we don't have any more time this evening for any words for the drivers or anything to digest after that amazing 11th week of racing here at Road Atlanta. So it is going to have to be a goodbye, take care, and stay safe, and we'll see you all next time on Absolute Sim Racing.